So is your wife able to have a boyfriend move in to the house with you when you're getting divorced? Can you just say, yeah, it's okay, he's gonna move in with us, without really your permission or consent or anything? So I got this question recently. One of our clients, people do the craziest things, right? So they're getting divorced. There hasn't been a divorce case even filed yet, and his wife is talking about how her boyfriend's gonna move in. So obviously she's cheating on him. Of course, it goes without saying. And I'm attorney Brent Boyer. I'm in Southfield here. We do divorce, family law is all we do. Represent only men for all of Metro Detroit area. So giving advice about this, his question is, can she do this? Can she just have her boyfriend move into the house, especially given that he's really still kind of living there? So the house is in both names, first of all, but it really could be, the house might be in his name or her name or both. All the same rules apply. If you're married and you own a house jointly, then that's a house that you own jointly. You have the same rights as she does. So she could have her boyfriend move in, you could have your girlfriend move in, or people could be reasonable and not do any of that nonsense, right? So, the answer would be there's no doing that, especially with the client that was asking about this. They have a minor child that's living in the house. So that's the key to it. I mean, right there, the idea would be get a divorce case filed, then the court has jurisdiction over things, meaning they can then dictate what goes on with your life, her life, and that's what it will control. So a judge is not going to say that it's okay for the wife to have a boyfriend around the kid, or it's okay for the husband to have a girlfriend around the kid, or whatever. There's no boyfriends, girlfriends allowed to be around with married people. Even if a divorce is pending, they're just going to say, no, we're not doing that. You're not going to be able to have boyfriends, girlfriends, paramours around a minor child while a divorce is pending. So that's the easiest way to answer his question about this, is she's not going to be allowed to have somebody move in there because there's a child. But even if there wasn't, it's not going to fly. You get a divorce case filed. If she wants her boyfriend to move in and you don't, you have a judge tell you what you're going to do on it, they're not going to let her do that. It doesn't make any sense. That's just stirring the pot, causing trouble, making things awkward and weird, right? So that won't be allowed. But it does bring up this whole issue of what are the rules with the house and who lives there and who stays there and who decides what's going to happen. What if your wife wants her mom to come stay there? Whatever it might be. So what are the ground rules? Well, the rules in general are you two have the same rights to this thing. And, I guess a related question would be, can you require your wife to move out? Can you, throw her out, so to speak, like people sometimes ask us. So there's not going to be any way to throw your wife out of the house if a divorce is pending. Unless there's something real severe going on, like she's threatened your life, or there's physical violence, domestic violence, that kind of thing. If that kind of thing isn't happening, there's going to be no grounds to throw someone out of a house. I mean, that gets into constitutional rights. You can't just throw somebody out of their own home for no reason. Nor could your wife throw you out of your home for no reason. So that does give you some peace of mind with the sense of who's living where, but it also sort of ties you together, right? Initially, right? There's no requiring you to move out immediately. There's no requiring her to move out immediately. And we like to get ahead of all that anyways, as divorce lawyers when we're giving advice about this. If there's a minor child, we don't want somebody moving out. Yeah, there might be a fight. It might be a little uncomfortable. There's some tension. You'd want to leave for the night, leave for a few days or a week or whatever. But moving out with no intention of returning is a big step. You want to do it the right way. Ideally, the order of operations, how you would do this, so to speak, would be file for divorce first. I mean, there's advantages to filing first. You'd want to have a divorce case filed. Then there's some control over things, because then if you have an agreement, which would be the right way to do it, you get some kind of an agreement on you're going to move out. So now what's the story? Who's going to have access to the house? When are you allowed to come to the house? Are you allowed to come to the house at all? Who's paying the bills? What's going on with custody, parenting time, child support, all these things, right? These all become issues if you're not going to live together, at least potentially. So you'd want to do it the right way. You'd want to get a temporary order in place, and that can be done through a divorce case. You can't have a temporary agreement if there's no divorce case filed yet. So order of operations, get a divorce case filed. A lot of advantages to filing first in a divorce, especially when there's a minor child. You get a divorce case filed, and then you can do a temporary order that governs what's going to be expected, whether you're moving out or your wife's moving out or whoever it is. You want to know what's going to happen with all of these categories. When are you going to be able to see the child or children? When are you going to be allowed to come to the house? What stuff can you take with you? What's expected of you as far as paying bills? You want to get all that out of the way, before you move out. The other idea on moving out, and whether you're moving out or your wife's moving out or whatever's happening, you want to use that as part of your discussion with things, and sometimes you even use it as leverage or use it as an advantage to negotiate. If your wife is wanting you to leave the house Don't just leave. I mean, you want to work out all the details first. If you're irritating to her, then use that to your advantage, right? And just say, well, I'm not moving out until we have an agreement on everything. And legally, she can't make you move out. There's no basis to throw you out if you're not doing anything wrong, unless there's domestic violence or some kind of real severe stuff. There's no throwing you out with no notice or no hearing or any of that kind of stuff. And if you do a court hearing with a family court judge with a divorce case, they're not going to tell somebody they have to move out. They really don't do that. They want you guys to work it out, but they're not going to throw somebody out of their own home, especially if they have nowhere else to go, right? So I mean, that's kind of a given. So I think that's sort of the ground rules. That gives you some flavor of this, of how Michigan law looks at this thing, how divorce lawyers look at it when there's this question of, I'm going to move my boyfriend in, which of course sounds idiotic, because it is. But those are some legal basis as to why that's not going to work and why that's a problem. Hope that helps. Thanks.